In accordance with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, this channel is not to be viewed by children under the age of 13. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey everybody, Dragon King Mark here, and welcome back to part 6 of Let's Play Shadowrun Dragonfall. I was about to say returns, sorry. Last we left off, we returned from Greenwitch's apartment, and we had to basically scrounge around to get a DVD player and a TV to play it, as well as doing some rounds just, make sure everyone was alright. Now, we've got the DVDs. Let's go and see what's up. It seems that AMSO has assembled the team in your absence. They stand in a group around the old display that you had Malik deliver. On their faces you can see excitement and apprehension, curiosity and dread. Shift, have you procured a DVD reader? And AMSO the DVD player. I have. It's right here. Good. It should take me only a moment. AMSO disappears behind the ancient display. After a few minutes of fiddling with its battered inputs, he reappears, a satisfied look on his face. Everything appears to be functional. The disc should be ready to play. Well, don't keep us in suspense. Start the damn thing already. Shift went through the trouble of fetching everything. Let him do the honors. AMSO steps back, clearing a path for you to access the antique machine. The fact that there's a literal DVD player right here is impressive, honestly. The fact it's so good. A soft whirling sound fills the air as the ancient DVD player spins the disc up to speed. The scratched LCD display comes to life, and a menu fills the screen. Alright, time to go back into order. Let's start with track number 1. The screen goes black, and a cheerful digital chiming sound spills out of the display speakers. A crackle of static fills the air, coupled with a shrill electronic whine. After a few moments, the display goes live, and a disheveled-looking man appears on the screen. His eyes glitter with excitement. The timestamp on the screen is 2034-9-15. So that was September 15th. Hermie, I think we found her. After all this time, Fiercewing. I knew that she wasn't dead. His speech is jittery. You can hear the urgency in his voice. She survived the Dragonfall, just as I've always said. I knew it, and I was right. The screen explodes into static, and the electronic whine in the background sharpens into a needle-like pulse of high-pitched sound. Somewhere in the background, Dante lets out a low whimper. The screen clears, and the excited face is closer to the screen than it was before. The words spill out of him in a breathless tide. Take a team into the stocks to retrieve her. The radiation be damned. We will take appropriate precautions, of course, but we must go. Hermie, I think that the body may be nearby as well. Somehow she has survived for all this time. The screen explodes into static again, then it clears. The figure flickers across the screen. We may not be back for some time. Look after Mom, okay? I worry about her. And Hermie, stay safe out there. I know that things are heating up in Berlin, and I know you. Student protest, civil uprising. You'll be in the middle of it, I'm sure. Just stay safe, alright? And I'll do my best to do the same. I don't know what's gonna happen when I step into the socks, but I know one thing. If the Firewing is still a danger, I will put an end to her, once and for all. The display goes black and the background whine fades away. A moment later, you find yourself deposited back on the main screen. So Fiercewing's alive. I think. So who was that guy? I mean, Dr. Vauclair, maybe? The screen goes black for a moment, then a figure appears on the screen, your late client, Green Winters. His elbow is planted on the table that he's seated at, and his chin rests on his palm. The other hand is wrapped around a bottle of cheap whiskey. The timestamp on the video reads 2053-12-25. Found the message Adrian left me all those years ago. Got it cleaned up as best I could. Strange hearing his voice again. He pauses to take a long pull on the bottle. It's good to hear him, even if he did insist on calling me Hermie. Dr. Adrian Vauclair, the hero of the people, the Dragon Slayer, my brother. He grimaces and rubs his eyes. Hard to believe it's almost been 20 years. Alright, so I'm gonna start recording these DVDs again. For me, for Adrian, for whoever might wind up watching them. Every time I do this, it winds up feeling like a waste of time. But I keep doing it anyway, on the off chance that I find something important. If I stumble into the clue that leads me to my brother, I know that I'm gonna want it on film. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, after all. Since quitting now. Christ, 20 years. All this time and still no leads. Even with all my contacts and my resources. It takes another long swallow of cheap liquor. Even with my legendary bullheadedness. I mean, no progress at all. I haven't turned up a single goddamn thing. Want to hear something funny? The closest I've gotten to a clue is a rumor. Apparently, a team emerged from the Sox a while back. Nobody's clear on the date, but get this. And get this. He leans into the camera and gives a conspiratorial wink. Supposedly, they vanished without a trace. He upends the bottle, drains it, slams it back down on the table. His eyes are rimmed with red. Not much of a rumor, considering. I already know that you're gone, big brother. I live with that every day. Abruptly, Winters leans forward and reaches for something off screen. The display goes black. A few seconds later, the main menu returns. Man, I feel a little sorry for him. He just wanted to make sure his brother was okay. I mean, I can relate to that, being the younger one. Track 3. There's a grinding sound from the DVD tray, and Green Winters' image appears on the screen. There's an eager look on his face. The timestamp on the video reads 2054-10-12. I can't tell if that's December. No, year, month, date. I prefer month, date, year. And I just noticed this, but Green Winters look a lot better than we found them. Stumbled upon this archival footage from Fiercewing's original attack, once before the Dragonfall. Easy to forget how devastating it was. Richard saved a lot of people by bringing her down. I've got the footage all queued up to play, starting it now. Additional comments to follow. The slow whirl of the DVD player shifts to a high-pitched whine. A distorted, wavery image blooms into being on the screen. A timestamp in the upper right corner on the screen marks the date, July 6, 2012. That must have been around the time of the awakening. It's difficult to make out what you're seeing at first. The scene is dark and smoky, and the telltale flashes of emergency vehicle lights flicker on the periphery of the screen. The camera pushes in, and you can make out two figures standing in a ruined landscape. All at once, the sound cuts in. Again, for those of you just joining us, we are coming to you live from Stolberg. A few hours ago, the dragon Fiercewing launched an unprovoked attack on this sleepy, harassed mountain town. And as you can see, the results behind me. Fire, ashes, and blood. We are joined today by a survivor of this latest and most horrifying attack. The reporter turns to face a pale man standing beside him. Sir, I've understood you've been through a terrible ordeal. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us tonight. The camera switches back to a middle-aged man with a haunted look in his eyes. He stammers out a reply. Yes, of course. Adrian. If you could, sir, could you please tell the people at home about your experience of the attack? It was horrible. Just pure chaos. So many people are dead. People I knew, roasted alive or trampled to death trying to escape. My own house was burned to the ground during the attack. My family, we have nothing now. You all made it through the attack, though. Your wife, your kids? Yeah, we all made it. Thank God. We rode out the attack in a small shelter. Me, my wife, and our 2 daughters. The shelter, it protected us, but the heat was just unbearable. We couldn't have stayed there much longer than we did. How long will you hold up there? 3, maybe 4 hours? I don't know. We just stayed inside until the heat died down and the screaming stopped. And what happened after that? When it was over, when the air cooled down. The reporter nods and the man continues. We stepped outside. There was nothing left, just smoldering wreckage. This dense cloud of black, oily smoke, and a stench in the air. God, that smell. It smelled like roasting meat. There was a long pause. From the tortured look on his face, you can tell that the man is struggling to decide whether or not to continue speaking. Eventually, he does. My girls, they found what was left of their nanny outside. Her body, what was left of it, was slumped against the shelter door. I kept telling myself that I couldn't hear her pounding to get in. But that wasn't true. I could. I just couldn't bring myself to open that door. I couldn't risk my family like that. Not for her. Not for anyone. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to speak with us. Yeah. You heard it here. An absolute chilling account of tonight's attack. Again, the town of Stolberg has been reduced to ash. Another victim of the fire wing. Stay with us for more up-to-the-minute reporting on Fierce Wing's Reign of Terror. Greenwitch's face reappears on the screen. Okay, it's time for a new approach. Adrian's a complete dead end. That much is pretty clear by now. So I'm gonna do some digging up Fierce Wing instead. Let's see where this goes. The screen abruptly goes to black as the video cuts off. A few minutes later, you find yourself returned to the main menu screen. Track number 4. Man, I feel bad for Adrian. I mean, he lived through that. Can't even imagine what Dragonfire must have been. The DVD player ramps up to speed, filling the air with a shrill whining sound. Greenwitch's image appears on the screen. The timestamp on the video reads 2054-1031. Well, that was a bust. Little progress on Fierce Wing either. He shakes his head. I don't know. It's weird. The information is there, it's just wrong somehow. It's too well laid out, too simple. Real life is messy, and this feels just a little too neat. That's not the only thing that's nagging at me. I'm getting that tingling feeling all up and down the back of my neck again. It feels like I'm being tracked. I'm no Matrix hotshot like Clockwork or Schaefer, but I'm good enough to know when someone's on my scent. And still some new security measures. Can't be too careful. Witch's image just appears. The display goes black. Seconds later, the main menu returns. Track number 5. The display goes black for a moment, then the face of Greenwitch winks into the screen. He is seated at a computer, off to his left. An enormous monitor fills the screen. His voice carries an edge of panic. The timestamp on the video reads 2054-11-9. Christ. I'm getting too old for something. I'm getting too close to something. There's a trail of bodies and there have been disappearances. Gearbox, Marcian, Peregrine. They've all disappeared within the past few years. Gearbox just went AWOL yesterday. They were all making the same sorts of inquiries about the fire wing that I've been. There are ghost stories spreading around the Decker community. Stories about Deckers disappearing and then showing up again later, but wrong somehow. Scary stuff. I'm starting to think that it's true. Blitz leans in to whisper to you. I know the stories he's talking about, Chief. Never really put much stock in him. Not until now. Could these rumors be related to what's happening out here? Am I being paranoid? He pauses for a moment, as if seriously considering the question. And he shakes his head and slams his fist onto the table. No, I don't think so. Something big is happening here, and I'm right in the middle of it. Iger cuts in. That's a bit of a leap. One other thing. Tolstoy told me a story about a kill team that might be related to all this. Apparently, a Decker named Helleborn posted a theory about Fierce Wing to the Shadowrun BBS about 5 years ago. About an hour later, a mil-spec team showed up in Meat Space and cooked her entire apartment. With her in it. If what Tolstoy told me was true, Helleborn live posted the event. She described her killer, this big great orc with skin graft. Then the whole thread disappeared, gone without a trace. Big orc with skin graft. Oh no. That was that guy we met at the manor. Leap, Ivgerlev? Sounds like he's on the right track to me. Iger holds her silence, but concedes to the point with a small nod. On the screen, Winters pauses. It looks like he's woken up to something. Finally, he speaks. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This has gotta be Fierce Wing. All of it. Adrian was right about her. She's still alive. She's out of the socks. She's covering her tracks, working the shadows, preparing to rise again. And that means I have to find you, Adrian. For everyone's sake. Thankfully, I've got a lead. For the first time in 2 decades, I got a solid goddamn lead. I backtracked all the Matrix nodes that Helleborn was looking into, back before she got cooked. Whoever's been purging the Matrix didn't think of that. And I found that she's turned up. Winter stabs a few keys into his keyboard, and an image expands to fill the screen of his monitor. A satellite of a photo of a rural landscape anointed with the GPS data. A set of map coordinates. So now, I've got a target. A place to start digging. The Harfeld Manor, conveniently located in an isolated stretch of countryside miles away from prying eyes. Matrix records indicate that some sort of data vault exists beneath the estate. So that's what I need to get into. And this is where we came in. As if on cue, a familiar image winks into the monitor to Winters' left. Monica. I think we're gonna tap Schaefer for this job. She's got the skills to bypass whatever security they're running out there, and she's gullible enough to take the job in the first place. I'll feed her some line about fluxing security, and she'll eat it up with a spoon. I warned her. Ansel's voice is choked with rage. I warned her! On the display, Winters' mouth parts into a broad grin. Time to put plans into motion. By this time tomorrow night, I should have the information I need. On the off chance that Schaefer gets taken out, well, that'll tell me something too. Can make an omelet and all that. So then. Winters' image disappears, the display goes black. A few seconds later, the main menu returns. So he knew! I mean, so this is how he plans it all. Sorry, had to get a drink. So he knew about the Hartfield Manor, and this is how we got dragged into this. Flux state security, my ass. When you play the 6th track, a small video window pops up. You recognize the scene in the window. You're looking at the tattered drapes and the nicotine-stained wallpaper of Winters' hotel room in Das Kesselhaus. The timestamp on the video reads 2054-1110. There's a blur of motion, and the haggard form of Green Winters lumbers into frame. Suspicious confirmed. Schaefer's dead. Christ. You've kind of been noticing that he's been looking a bit more and more messed up in these images. At least now we know why. Winters reaches a shaking hand off screen. A moment later, returns clutching a cheap plastic drinking glass. He gulps something down, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and takes a deep breath. Okay. Back up. Slow down. Start from the beginning. Winters closes his eyes and makes a visible effort to calm himself. When he speaks again, his voice is steady. Got the call from my contact in the cruise bazaar. Schaefer killed on the estate run. Matrix security at the estate cooked their brain. Considering Schaefer's skill and experience, on-site IC must have been extreme, even by Berlin standards. Security of that kind costs money. Real money. Given the evidence uncovered so far, corporate involvement unlikely. The connection to the fire wing is too strong. So, let's come out and say it. Let's come right out and say it. The dragon is what we're dealing with here. The smart money says that she's coming for me next. Well, I won't go down without a fight. I still got my contacts, still got my connections. And the flux deck can be a hell of a weapon for the man who knows how to manipulate it. Winters takes another long pull of his glass, grimaces and swallows. It's time for me to make my play. Ghost doors or not, missing deckers or no, I gotta jack into the Matrix and start pulling strings. The countermeasures that I installed earlier should be more than enough to keep me safe for the 20 minutes I'll be in there. Winters strains the rest of the glass, then tosses it back over his shoulder. A moment later, you hear the dull clattering sound of hard plastic on linoleum? Schaefer's death was tragic. She was a staunch supporter of the F-State, but still, all things considered. Winters fishes for something off screen. A moment later, his hand reappears clutching a data jack cable. Better her than me. He plugs the cable into his head and the screen cuts to static. So now we know the full story. Well, that's everything we got now. Let's just take out that DVD. As your finger nears the eject button, a black screen cuts over the static. A moment later, Green Winters' haggard face appears. If you're watching this, then I guess they caught up to me. They will be after you too now! Blitz whispers into your ear again, more harshly this time. What the hell's this? Why didn't you warn me about this before I came here? We didn't know. Not exactly. Not exactly? I didn't come here to get hunted down by a dragon. I'm not even a part of this. You are now, whether you like it or not. So quiet down and stop bothering him. Whoever you are, whatever you think you're after, you need to find Dr. Adrian Beauclair. Not because he's my brother, but if Fiercewing is rising again, he's the only one who can stop her. You've seen what happens to people who get too close to this. I'm dead, dozens of others have died. You'll be next unless you can find Adrian. The screen cuts back to static. The message is over. The DVD tray slides out of the reader. Well, shit. The room goes quiet as everyone struggles to process what you've just seen on the DVD. Finally, Dietrich breaks the silence. The dragon. Son of a bitch. Queen Winter set us up against a dragon. Firewing. Amstel's voice is thick with dread. She lives. She lives. I'm really starting to regret the fact that I didn't just stay at the hotel. Igor ignores him. Wait a second. We don't know for certain. Dietrich lays a hand on Igor's shoulder. The evidence seemed pretty convincing to me, love. I'll take it even a step further. I think that secret facility that we stumbled into was her lair. The room falls silent. Igor and Gloria exchange glances. After a moment, Dietrich continues. Just think about it. The decker that Winters got those coordinates from posting was about Fiercewing. And she was killed by that same orcish bastard that attacked us after Monica died. That's a direct link between the dragon, the scarred orc, and the Hartfield Manor. And then Winters was killed by the same thing that killed Monica. Exactly. My guy tells me that the dragon is down there, Shift. Someplace far beneath the surface. I think that we knocked on the door to her lair without even knowing it. And I think that, given what we've seen, the dragon will do whatever it takes to keep us quiet about it. Okay, going on the assumption that there is a dragon and that she will come after us, what do you propose that we do about it? Here's the thing. In the tabletop, fighting a dragon is basically suicide. You can't win. Like, they are literally the atom freaking smasher of the Shadowrun universe. And even then, the dragon, if you do beat a dragon, it's only because they let you win. And now we have to fight one. Ah, crap. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna follow Winters' advice. We're gonna find Beauclair. Yes, Shift is right. Finding Dr. Beauclair should be our priority. If we're going up against a dragon, we need to find ourselves a dragon slayer. Winters spent 20 years searching for Beauclair and it got him nowhere. How do you propose that we find him? With the help of an information broker. I'll go talk to Altu then. For this, no. While Herberagazi is very capable, a task of this magnitude is beyond him. We need to make contact with the premier information broker in Berlin. We need to talk to Alice. Bliff scoffs at Amsel. Alice? Best of luck. And I hope that you're rich. Amsel raises an eyebrow. For this, rich enough. Even if only just. Who is this Alice? A most prominent figure in Berlin's shadow community, ex-Schlockwellenreiter. She can provide information retrieval services for the F-State. Amsel turns to the computer console behind him and runs his keys over a virtual keyboard. The machine begins to hum. If Winters was right, if Beauclair is alive, she can help us find him. The console splits out a stick of black plastic. Amsel plucks it from the computer and hands it to you. Here, your key speaks with Alice. A cred stick? Amsel nods. And a coded cred stick. Yes. 10,000 UN. The yen. Alice will not show her face for less. This represents the last of my personal savings, Shift. Make this meeting count. Where do I need to go? Take the U-Bahn to the Alstadt Spandau. There you'll find a connecting tube that the locals refer to as the rabbit hole. You'll find a method of contacting Alice there. Don't call it that in front of her, though. Word on the street is she hates it. Please hurry. While you're out, I'll work on acquiring new contracts for the team. Alice is the best there is at what she does, and her services carry a price tag to match. And our game saved. Let's go. Sam, you got anything? Okay. Just needed to make sure. U-band platform. The rabbit hole. This is it? It's a bunch of... Well, not all of it, I guess. An arcade machine. The only active console in this derelict span of U-band platform is an old video arcade machine. The CRT monitor set to the machine's cabinet goes invitingly. Cheerful pixelated graphics swirl and dance on the screen. Let's investigate it. At the base of the control panel, you'll find a cleverly hidden input port. The port is shrouded in black plastic, and it appears to be the approximate shape of a typical cred stick. Insert Amso's down payment into the machine, then. Internal motors grip the cred stick and pull it into the machine. It disappears into the port, and the screen goes black. A moment later, a video image appears on the screen. The picture is dark and grainy, a far cry from the bright, colorful sprites that previously inhabited the display. On the screen is a dimly lit office. The place looks like it was pulled straight from an old detective movie, from the Venetian blinds on the windows to the great swaths of shadow that paints the walls black. Center stage, sitting behind a large mahogany desk, is the silhouette of an impressive-looking woman in a charcoal gray suit. The tip of a cigarette glows cherry red on the shadows. She leans forward into the light, and you catch your first glimpse of Alice. Her face is all hard lines and sculpted angles, with high cheekbones and almond eyes. Her lips are painted a frigid blue, but the look in her eyes is even colder. A head of lustrous black hair is interspaced with flowing streams of cyan light. Alice exhales a plum of smoke, then tips her cigarette into a nearby ashtray. She fixes her eyes on you, and her lips curl into a humorless smile. We're on your dime, friend. Tell me what you're looking for. God, she looks pretty. I need you to find someone for me, Dr. Adrian Vauclair. She raises an eyebrow. The Dragon Slayer. Interesting. He's been missing for a long time. Did Amso call ahead and brief you about this? That isn't how I operate. And besides, I don't need a briefing to recognize the name Vauclair. She taps a painted fingernail to her temple. Trivia, it's a passion of mine. Speaking of trivia, Alice, I think I might know who you really are. Oh? She leans toward you. Her smile spreads into a predatory grin. Do tell. There was a member of Echo Mirage named Alice Hafner. She died back in 2029, finding the crash virus. Rumor has it, she still exists in the Matrix. Still calls herself Alice too. Oh, if we weren't a Decker, we couldn't do this. An interesting theory, but the theory that my price to confirm or deny it would fall well outside your price range. Alice leans back in her chair. For now, let's get back to the business at hand. Let's. Alice steeps her fingers. Alright, here's how this is gonna work. When you give me the go-ahead, I'm gonna start gathering information for you. Once I'm finished, you're gonna bring me a cred stick encoded with an encryption key that I'll provide. That cred stick will have 50,000 UN on it. When I get my cred stick, you'll get your information. This is the deal. Take it or leave it. Price gouging, huh? For a neo-anarchist, you behave an awful lot like an old profiteer. Alice smiles at you sweetly. I wasn't aware that there was a difference between the two. In all seriousness, I'm charging what the job is worth. Do you know how much work it takes to find a digital ghost? There's gonna be wet work, breaking into government archives. I might even have to commission an expedition to the Sox. This is a serious undertaking, friend. Now, do we have a deal, or don't we? Alright, Alice. It's a deal. Okay. But remember, you say go and I go. From that point on, you're on the hook to pay me my fee. No turning back. No refunds. Are we square on this? Yeah, we're square. Good. I'll be in touch. Screen goes black. Moments later, the machine reboots. The colorful sprites that you saw when you first approached the arcade cabinet return. There's nothing more to see here. Alice is gone. Alright, so we got Alice basically on our now we gotta basically go and talk to Amcel and then tell them that we got the deal. 50 grand. That kind of scratch would make a Shadowrunner just drool. Do you know how much I can get with this? As you approach, let's see, anything? Oh, I guess if you wanted to go ahead and re-talk to these guys again, you can, but there's nothing really much to talk about. Still. I guess if whoever... Never mind, the things are gone. Shift, did you make contact with Alice? Yes, I did. She accepted your payment, and I ordered the search for the information we need. Very good. I can imagine that this would be cheap. What was Alice's stated price? Right on that count, 50,000 new yen. He shrugs. It is as I had expected. Thankfully, we are prepared for this. I have established contact with a number of new clients. You can find the information on the jobs logged into this computer. One job's file is already there. While you're working to earn Alice's fee, I will continue to dig for clues about Fierschwing. If she is in fact roosting under the Harfield Manor, there must be some evidence to support that fact. A dragon is a large thing to hide after all. Be careful, Paul. Remember what happened to Monica. I will never forget. Don't worry, Shift. I'm going to conduct my investigation the old-fashioned way. Through contacts and deduction and careful observation. I will not jack into the Matrix until this entire episode is finished. And that's probably wise. Speaking of doing things the old-fashioned way, Lily is working to recover information off those other DVDs. It's a painstaking process and it will not be quick, but she is optimistic that she will be successful in time. Finally, I've been checking up on our friend. You work with the skin grafts? I haven't heard anything back yet, but I'll keep you appraised as the situation develops. Sounds good, Paul. I'll go check on those jobs. One last thing before you go, Shift. Samuel Beckenbauer wanted me to pass a message to you. Do you know him? The orc who runs the shelter across the way? Yeah, we've met. Ah, well, here's a job for you. He wouldn't discuss it with me, but he promised that it would prove worth your time. I'll keep that in mind. Meet with Samuel Beckenbauer about a job. Discuss your findings with Amcel. Raise to 50,000 yen. We are getting autosaves up the wazoo. I really hope that this stream goes well. Sam? I heard you wanted to talk with me about a job. Yes I do. Thank you for coming so promptly. He takes a deep breath, slowly releases it, and looks you in the eye. Tell me, what do you know about the Humanist Paula Club? They're an anti-metahuman hate group. He nods. The largest and most well-funded of its kind. The instigators of the Night of Rage and the enemy of everything that I stand for. Night of Rage? A worldwide race riot that took place in February of 2039. Thousands of innocent metahumans were attacked, beaten, and killed. Women and children were corralled into warehouses for protection and then burned alive when the structures were put to the torch. This is what humanity stands for. This is the agenda that its leaders strive to advance. They will not be satisfied until all metahumans everywhere are driven from the face of the earth. Tell me what this has to do with me. He nods. Yesterday I overheard one of my assistants talking on his comm. He was yelling, clearly agitated. I questioned him and he confided in me. What he told me made my blood run cold. Let me guess where this is going. Humanus is planning something, an attack of some kind? He nods. Yes, I believe so. The Berlin chapter of Humanus has arranged to acquire a large shipment of extremely hazardous chemical. Their leader, Volker Stahl, is a vicious ideologue. Goes without saying that whoever he intends to do, it won't be good for us. I want you to infiltrate the smuggling operation that is delivering the shipment. Once you arrive at the Humanus compound, you'll find what they're planning to do with the chemical and put a stop to it. Wouldn't it be easier to just hijack the shipment? Why allow it to get to the Humanus compound at all? He shakes his head. No. Stopping the shipment would not stop Humanus. They would merely acquire another. For a pack of snarling racists, they're extremely well funded. Let's talk compensation. What does this gig pay? I have contracted sister organizations across Berlin and taken up a collection. Between us, we'll have raised 22,000 UN as a payment. I trust it will be sufficient. I'll do it. Count me in. Excellent. I'm relieved. He nods. I will make arrangements for your meeting with the smugglers. Their leader is an elf who calls himself Maxim. Take the U-Bahn to Schottennest and you will find him waiting there. Best of luck to you, Shift, and good hunting. I know that you're doing a great thing for the metahumans of Berlin. Your efforts will not go unrecognized. Well, I am definitely going to be calling it for today right now. I think that was good enough. Well, we basically have got... This is the main meat of the game now. We gotta raise up 50 grand for Alice, and this 22,000 is gonna do us some major good. So, that's what we're gonna do. I'm Dragon King Mark. On next time, we're gonna go and raid a Humanus shipment and stop them from getting that chemical. Until then, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to be notified when I'm gonna upload. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see all of you next time. Laters.